All righty, we're going to start our study session, and we're going to flip a little differently because Councilor Green has a flight to make, so we're going to allow him to go first.
Thank you, Madam President. Item 13. Would be engineering or Neal.
Item 13.
Hello.
Mary.
Anybody here from engineering?
Yeah.
We're going to do item 13.
Good afternoon, Councilors. Mary Robison, City Engineer. Item 13 is a TIP project. We want to enter an agreement with CNS Engineers for preliminary and detailed design, cost not to exceed $277,000, and this is for our pedestrian safety action plan.
So can you just remind us a little bit about the scope of what the goals of the project are?
The goal of the project is to improve uncontrolled crossings, pedestrian crosswalks, and when I say uncontrolled, I mean it doesn't have a stop sign or any traffic signal controlling it. So the mid-block crossings and any crossings that we have that have no control. And improvements to the crosswalks do not include the sidewalk ADA ramps, but it's flashers, signage, the high visibility crosswalk striping, that type of thing. So it's for uncontrolled crosswalks and signalized crosswalks.
And it's for all of them citywide?
Well, we're going to take the money as far as it'll go. They gave us, I think the total project is 1.6 million or 1.8 million. I'd have to look at the prior legislation. So we're going to do all the uncontrolled crosswalks, which we have around 70, 80 of them, and then do as many signalized crosswalks as we can. And we're going to concentrate on the high pedestrian traveled ways.
So, yeah, do we, I assume we probably have a list of, target areas that we want to go into to do this?
This is just starting the design process, so
Okay.
during the preliminary design, we'll be identifying.
Okay. I would just
And
ask.
generally, I think we're looking at areas around schools, downtown, highly traveled, high pedestrian travel.
I would just ask that when we do have a list of what we're targeting and going after, that we could, as the council.
Sure.
All right.
Yep.
Thank
There'll
you.
also be a public meeting process.
Okay.
So, Mary, you mean uncontrolled sidewalks, you mean crosswalks, do you mean like crosswalks that have evolved over time? Or
Yes,
what do
they
you
have to
call
be
it?
existing.
Yeah, okay, so in other words, people
improving
have
our
always
existing-
used them like that.
It's existing striped crosswalks.
Okay, existing stripe cars, so, okay. I was a little
Yes.
confused there.
Good question.
So there's no cost to the city?
5%.
And I'm just going to venture out here. It's in the crosswalk, so is there any Marcia Shelley attached? No?
No, because it's, the fund source is 95% reimbursement, and Marchicelli is normally the 15% on top of the 80%.
And it's just striping?
Striping, signage, beacons, and, the
flashing
beacon, the
heads?
flashing things, yep.
Okay.
Not at every crosswalk, but where warranted. Obviously, striping would be at every crosswalk and signage, but the beacons would only be at when it met certain triggers in terms of pedestrian traffic.
Any other questions on item 13? Okay. Item 14.
Item 14 is another TIP project. This is our Salina and State Street Mill and Pave project. This is amending the agreement with CNS to add the construction inspection services for a cost. The inspection is $1.203 million for a total fee to CNS of $2.248 million. And we're going to be bidding this project very shortly. So construction will take place starting this summer and go through 2021.
So as part of their scope during construction, a lot of times during construction, there's impediments to sidewalks or other pedestrian travel. Is this part of their job to make sure that the construction crews aren't impacting?
Yes, all maintenance and protection of traffic will be the responsibility of the contractor.
And do we anticipate there to be major issues with that downtown?
I'm sure it will be challenging because it's two highly traveled corridors, but they anticipated this all along, so they've been planning for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Question for you, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but I'm looking at this, and I know that we use a lot of the same folks for a lot of the work we do. Do they have the capacity to keep taking all this work?
Well, this project's been going on for a couple years. That's why we're amending the existing contract. There's a lot of work going on in the city, so actually all firms are very busy right now.
Right, I know, I'm not just singling them out
No.
because I sit on RFP and I noticed that we just keep giving out these contracts, and are they going to have the ability to move them forward without delays?
Well, this one is basically at the last phase because we're going into construction. So, they have planned for this project. This is a very big project. So they know they have to staff it adequately to deal with all the issues of working downtown.
Now, what type of jobs require us to seek, like this one, to constantly keep going back to them? Can we not do them in the house, or?
No, we don't have the staff available to do this.
So
It would double, triple our staff size. This is a huge project. There's going to be multiple inspectors on the job. There's very specific reporting requirements. It's in our best interest to use consultants for this. We get so much federal funding that we need the consultants to make them responsible to follow all the guidelines so that we get the proper reimbursement. And we are there, we need staff as well to oversee the consultants, but we're having trouble finding engineers in-house right now, so there's no way we could do this in-house. If it was a very small project, potentially we could, but not something of this magnitude, either of these projects.
So it's the. From what I'm understanding, the main issue here is that we can't find engineers because.
No, that it's 99% of the time, it's cheaper to go sub the work out rather than pay someone in-house, because it's not just the salary for their time, it's the healthcare, the pension.
The expertise.
Long-term, yeah, and it's companies that, we usually use folks like CNS, Barton LaJudas, they're companies that do this type of work for other municipalities around the state, so they're experts in this field. So
They've been doing it for 20 to 30 years.
At a far lesser cost than it would be if we hired someone in-house to do it, like our own engineers to do it.
Plus, we wouldn't be able to do as many projects.
We can't get engineers.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 15.
Neal Burke with DPW. Item 15 relates to the replacement of the existing fiber optic trunk, which runs from the traffic control center at DPW through downtown and 2 points south. This allows for a number of traffic signals to be interconnected on our interconnect system, which feeds back again to the system at DPW. The current fiber is about 20 years old. It has reached the end of its lifespan and needs replacement, as well as some of the associated switches, boxes, and things like that.
How many more of these do we have that are coming up on their, life expectancy?
So this is the backbone of the signal system. This is the only one. There are other projects in the works to add more signals to the system, but we're bumping up against the capacity of this old fiber in the old network, so we're adding capacity here as well as future-proofing this for moving forward.
Neal, question for you, since you're talking about the lights. How many street lights do we still have left? Because I know you've taken quite a few down. So how many are there still throughout the city?
There's around 400 three-color lights.
400, and how many was removed?
I don't know the exact number, how many have been
Estimate.
reviewed. Over what time frame?
Well, I know that it's quite a few busy cross streets that I know Newell's been removed. And when you're talking the south end area, quite a few of those lights have been removed. So I'm just trying to figure out how many were removed and where were they located.
So the lights that you're referring to, the signals that you're referring to were part of a project that was put into works a few years ago, which looked at some of our non-compliant signals. So as time goes on, some of our older equipment is found to be non-compliant. It's either an option for upgrading it or evaluation, and if it doesn't meet the warrants for counts and other things, it's decommissioned to something like an all-way stop or another option. So a few of them were decommissioned, some of them were improved to meet the current standards, but this was all done by an outside engineering firm, a third party who advised us on all of this.
Good.
Okay, any other questions on that? Thank you.
Thanks.
Item 17, 18, and 19.
Yep.
Lori Iacco, DPW. Slurry for the unimproved roads that we do every year. This is cycle 3. Cycle 3 is one of our biggest cycles. It's about 663,000 square yards.
I must note my opposition again.
I know. Okay.
Any other questions on these items?
Where's it, what areas are you?
Southwest.
Southwest?
Okay, thank you. Item 20.
Neal Burke, DPW. Item number 20 is the bond for the city's accessible sidewalk program. This has been increased slightly over years past, and what this is for is the city program where if you want to come in and have your sidewalk replaced, you then finance it with us.
So this is just the capital up front that the homeowners will be paying back?
Correct.
All right, yeah. I have more questions, but I think that's for, as we move forward with our municipal plans, I'd be curious to see how this interacts with that, but that's a,
I have a question.
that's a fish
about
for
it.
another day, I guess.
Yeah, I have a question that I think is probably appropriate now. What's the percentage that we charge folks for, like when we do it, if we put it on their tax bill?
All of it.
The percentage, I believe, is
The percentage.
Interest?
Interest that we're charging.
7%.
7%. All right. Again, I've heard numerous complaints from neighbors about this. It's, we've had a number of folks in my district that have gotten their sidewalk replaced, and just the percentage is, you're better off going to a bank a lot of the time to do it, or, trying to scrounge up the money at first. It's a high percentage, and I really think that's something that we as a city should take a look at and reconsider. I don't know if it goes with the whole new plan as a whole. I don't know what the plan is for that. A little concerning, but we really should take a look at what we're charging our residents. It really seems a little excessive.
Sure, and this isn't the only way that you can have your sidewalk replaced. We do encourage estimates from private contractors and for constituents, residents to shop around. So we don't want to portray this as being the end-all, be-all, but
No,
understood.
I know. I had someone else do mine because I was, 2 or 3 times what, you could have someone privately do it. But, there are folks in the city that, maybe don't have the money up front to pay for it. And it seems like, I don't want to say we're taking advantage of individuals because I don't think that's the right term, because I don't think that's the intention of it. But it just seems a little excessive at what we charge folks
Understood.
in interest.
I was gonna say,
So.
It's a great argument for the sidewalk program.
I got whole other questions about the sidewalk program, how it's going to be implemented, who's paying what, but yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, it'll be cheaper than that poor person that had to pay $17,000 because they live alone.
And I agree. Look, I had neighbors that they're on corner lots. Exactly, it's $15,000, and then they want to charge 17% on top of that. So.
That's right.
You said
Or
17 or 7?
Sorry, 7%.
Okay.
He said 17 and it's stuck in my head.
Okay.
So it's a tick.
All righty. Item 21. Are any more questions on the sidewalks?
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Right.
Yeah, how's the
21?
clearing program going?
Well,
21.
21. Item 21 is a similar item. It just relates to the city-owned sidewalks. So these are sidewalks along parks and other city-owned facilities.
Actually, 20 and 21 are companion, 22 and 23 are city-owned.
Okay.
There you have it.
Any more questions? All righty. 22. Now you can give us the city-owned.
22. This item is the city-owned sidewalks, as we just discussed. This is for any frontages that are owned by the city that have sidewalks that need replacement or installation.
Do we keep a running tally of what sidewalks are, like as we sort of grade the roads, do we do the same with our own sidewalks? Or is it just simply when somebody at a parks facility says, geez, there's a heaved block on one of these things? Or do we go around and actively check on and, grade them?
It's a little bit of both. So as we have capital projects, we do take a look at these things. But in terms of an overall database that we're updating regularly, that we don't have, but it is something we'd like to work towards, absolutely.
We can.
All righty. 23 is companion piece, right?
23 is related. This is for city-owned sidewalks, but it relates to the 88 corners. So a separate piece, something that we do separately. But if we're looking at sidewalks, say along city-owned properties or residential properties where the sidewalk's being replaced, we also have funds here to update.
20 and 21 are companion pieces. 20 is the bonding for the 1.4 in condemnation money. 22 and 23 are companion pieces. It's $250,000 for city-owned. It's the bonding and the authority.
Correct.
There we go.
Any more questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All righty. I'm going back to item 8, which I should know by Monday. Councilor Bay.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 9 and 10. For those who are present, both of these items passed committee, but I don't know if there's any other councilors who were not there that had any questions. Anybody? Jake? I don't have any.
Good afternoon, councilors. Item number 9 is seeking agreement with the Syracuse Industrial Development Agency to assist with funding permit software expenses with Camino Technologies and ePlan Soft for the remainder of the year. Camino Technologies is a state-of-the-art permit management software tool that we hope to roll out to offer e-permits on, so people can apply and pay online to get their permits. And ePlan Soft is a digital plan review software. So instead of making developers submit 10 large sets of construction plans on paper, they will submit digitally, and we review the plans on screens and improve review times and save on a lot of paper as well.
So with this, with item 9, the Camino Technologies and ePlan Soft, I assume it's going to be credit card, you're paying online for these permits. Are we charging them the 3 to 4% or whatever rate we're getting with this, I assume the credit card company? That we're charging them that? Is there anything above that we're charging them to do this?
No. Okay. No. The credit card fee is there. We have talked about possible future revenue improvements from offering this by looking at best practices in other cities, but nothing's been determined yet to this point.
So this will be the final cost, Jake? I mean, will this be the final cost for this year, or is this an evolving thing for year after year, or what?
This will be a final cost for this year, and it will change slightly year to year as we expand the software. But the Digital plan review will actually go down. The major cost to that this year is the implementation and training. Moving forward, we would only have to pay a license fee per user, so that would drop almost in half from what the number you see on your paper right now.
And will CITA be amenable to pay that, or?
That has not been decided yet, but certainly something we can explore.
Certainly this will be under the purview because this is like economic development. I mean, I'm not arguing with you, but I can see where they should magnanimously do it.
It's something that we will explore.
So Jake, sorry, I wasn't at the committee meeting. So we have other cities that have adopted this similar software?
Yes, there are a number of different vendors that offer a digital plan review software. The easiest way to explain it, it's kind of like the Google Docs of plan review.
Right.
So there's some different vendors out there, but and then Camino is kind of different than anything that's out in the market right now as kind of a next generation permit management software tool, managing workflows and due dates. Having a customer portal that they can log in and upload all their stuff and pay and actually check in and actually be able to see where things stand.
Report, yeah, that's great. Do you have any estimates of, on average, how much time this will take off the permitting process? I mean, I know that's kind of asking how long a piece of rope is, but do you know generally how much you expect it to reduce?
Yeah, just saving on the time alone it takes to collect 10 sets of construction plans and route it around the city to water, to DPW, to engineering, different floors within City Hall Commons. Just that, saving on that time alone is going to cut days off. And that's just the initial permit set. If there's revisions, it has to go through that same process right now on paper. Resubmit new plans, route it around everybody.
Great.
So days, if not weeks.
I will mention, though, that same question was asked in committee, and obviously one of the responses that Jake gave, which was practical, that obviously depending on the permit, it varies, but Adria also has some very detailed numbers on what has changed since, and so I can see if she can share that information.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. It's very exciting stuff. Thank you guys for your work.
And Jake, you said that it's going to cut the cost in half, but we've been on this rodeo before when we started out with PeopleSoft. So is this going to be the cost that you foresee in the future? We're not going to have to build out and keep adding on more pieces to it, are we?
So the E-Plan soft price will drop because we'll have it implemented, we'll have training done, and we'll only have to pay for user accounts that need to use the software. The Camino, the permit management system, is being built out as we go. But it is, I do want to say that it's totally different than what we have. It's not anything like the current system we're using, and that's part of the reason why we're choosing to go in that direction. Is it's going to first provide service to our customers, to our users who are most important, but also serve city staff better as well.
And I appreciate that, but I just wanted to get the final cost and not just the rough what it's going to be, because in the end we always end up getting more added on that we don't know about. So that's what I'm trying to get from you.
And we did discuss that a little bit in the committee meeting. I think the best thing that I can offer, and I'm totally open to answering questions here as long as you want, but we're going to offer something where we present more in full details of everything that we've been doing in permits to the entire council. I think that would be something we want to do.
Yeah, that'd be exciting. I'd like to get into the weeds with you guys. It's good stuff.
Just real quick, when you say paying per user, is that based on like they have a flat fee of like 0 to 999, and this is the cost for it, or is it users as in-house us?
In-house
folks
users
that have access to it.
Yeah, so if we have 30 people that need to use it, they certain price per person.
Well, like we're not paying for like if a developer decides, like
No.
they have to get an account.
No, internal users only.
Okay.
Further questions? All right, item number 10.
Echo Councilor Hogan's comments as well about side-end funding.
All righty.
Item 10.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, councilors. Heather Lamondola, zoning administrator. Item 10 is a special permit for a restaurant at 919 East Genesee Street, and this is going into an existing building that was previously approved in 2016.
Questions, comments? No?
Do we know the intersection 919 East Genesee?
It's Krause, Irving. It's a big, huge block. It is bounded by Irving, Krause, East Jenny, and Fayette.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rudd.
Thank you, Madam President. I have items 11 and 12. Item 11 is we're paying to do an assessment of a property on Tracy Street. If there's any questions, if there's no questions, I'll just call it ready. Thank you, Dave. Item 12, we moved it in committee, but there were a couple questions of Suzanne Slack here. So I feel pretty comfortable with this. So can I give it a simple explanation?
Sure.
And then you, okay. So basically, we issued these $80 million in bonds in 2018 for a group of schools. We had high estimates at the time.
Mm-hmm.
The estimates became, we didn't need as much contingency as we thought based on the actual bids coming in.
Correct.
So since then, we've authorized more bonds for other projects.
Correct.
But we're actually going to adjust this law, this bond authorization, to include some of the schools that we already authorized stuff for, so that we make sure we spend all the money we have, because there was some, essentially, like, things it worked out better. Instead of things coming in more expensive, they came in a little lower than we had planned.
You're exactly
So this is just providing long-term flexibility to roll the project, to make sure we spend all the money, because we want to spend the oldest money first.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would add?
No, but I'm happy to answer questions if there's any questions.
There are a whole bunch of conversations that led to that short summary, so.
I apologize for missing the meeting, but Joe just reminded me, 'cause having served on the Joint School Construction Board before, CITA does all the bonding.
Yes, that's
Because
correct.
of our debt limit,
That is correct, yes.
so they get a fee, right?
Yes.
It's probably for 80 million, is it, no, this is $80 million, this is,
So we just recently closed on a borrowing within the last year, just under $80 million. We have one last borrowing up to $102.5 million. So in order to make sure we size that last borrowing correctly, we want to know what the flexibility is to use the funds we already have in-house.
so the fee on 80 million would be like 400,000, something like that?
From SIDA?
Yeah.
Yes.
400?
Yeah,
So we got enough to pay for Jake's thing, right? 400 grand. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not bad. So, okay, that's all I got. I mean, it's good that they're getting a fee, obviously, but we can use that fee, obviously, so.
Anything else?
It's ready.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty, Councilor Kearney.
Thank you, Madam President. Item 24, someone's here to speak about it.
Good afternoon, Julie Lefebvre, Commissioner of Parks and Recreation. This is simply to amend an ordinance. We applied for this funding for 2019 programming. You don't, when you make the application, you don't actually know how much, what funding you'll get in return. We anticipated it would be less than $10,000. It turned out to be $56,875. So this is just amending so that we can accept that money.
Any questions? No?
Thank you.
Ready?
Councilor Allen.
Thank you. I have items 25 through 32.
Good afternoon, councilors. David Clifford, Commissioner of Assessment. This is the second amendment to the open sea pace legislation that the council passed a while back. This is merely to amend the lien date that was written into the original ordinance, which the original local law had the wrong lien date. So we are correcting that by this legislation.
Okay. So we'll have to introduce this and table it?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 26.
Good afternoon, councilors. My name is Adria Finch. I'm the Director of Innovation. I am here to ask for permission to apply for and enter into an agreement for a technical assistance competition. This is put on by the Cities and Counties for Fine and Fee Justice, which is a network consisting of Policy Link, the San Francisco Financial Justice Project, and the Fines and Fees Justice Center. If we are selected to participate in this, we will receive 18 months of technical service and $50,000, to implement and to provide administrative support for the work. If we're selected, we will spend time inventorying and evaluating our fines and fees that exist within the city. We will standardize the fee structure and the fee intake process. We will ensure that fines and fees are producing revenue that is equitable, sustainable, and ethical, and we'll make sure that fines and fees are purposeful and effective in their behavioral impact. So it's really taking a comprehensive look at the fines and fees that exist here, ensuring that they're actually effective. And what research has shown is that oftentimes in some communities it actually costs more to administer these fines and fees than you're actually bringing in. So we'll look at that. And research is also showing that oftentimes they are disproportionately affecting people of color and low-income individuals. So it'll also look at that.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Okay, item 27. I actually have to go off, you can come up, but I have to go off schedule of our committee meeting because we didn't have one last week. I'm gonna try to schedule it for this Friday around like 9:30, so it won't be too long, but we definitely need to have a conversation about it, and I think that was the only time that was available.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great. Did you want to add anything right now, or you want
to? No, not necessarily. Jen Tiff, Deputy Commissioner of MBD. We can definitely talk more on Friday morning about the details of 27. We can cover 28 there too if anyone's interested. But basically, 27 and 28 are both related to grants to help us administer the census outreach for the upcoming 10-year census.
Okay. And so we'll yield our questions till Friday.
Committee meeting.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
And item 29.
Good afternoon, councilors. Kate Auwater, I'm the preservation planner for the city. This is legislation asking to enter into contract with the Landmark Society of Western New York to administer a $20,000 grant from the Certified Local Government Program through the State Preservation Office. And these dollars will be used in support of the New York statewide preservation conference, which will be held here in Syracuse for the first time this March. As the host city for the conference, the State Preservation Office asks the host city to administer this, or be the fiscal sponsor for this grant that will be administered by the Landmark Society. And the grant funds are going towards scholarships and venue costs and so forth in support of the conference.
Do we have any idea how many people come in for this conference?
I believe between 300 and 400.
Okay.
And there will be scholarships that are available to which I'll be sending out the information to community members, board members, common council members, people who might be interested in participating, going to the conference. So.
All right, thank you.
$75 or less.
Sorry, $75 or less. Well, you have to apply for the. Hopefully, it will work. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
All right, 30, 31, 32.
Good afternoon, councilors. Item number 30, the owner of the property located at 1030 East Genesee Street is asking for permission for an existing sign, and the sign encroached 12 feet into the Genesee Street right-of-way.
Okay, and 31.
Item number 31, the owner of the property located at 650 South Salina Street is asking for permission for an existing masonry wall that will encroach 4 feet into the Clinton Street right-of-way.
That's the old Benjamin Rush, right?
Yes, it is.
You might have to think about that one. You
Okay.
don't pay any taxes.
Okay.
Okay,
And they're also, it's the same owner, same property, 650 South Salina Street. They're also asking for permission for planter walls. They're actually already existing, and they will encroach 13 feet into the Salina Street right-of-way.
They're replacing existing?
No, they're not.
Saying it already exists?
Yes, it's already existing.
It's already there.
Wait,
Yes.
wait. When did they do it?
I am not sure when they did it, but I can look into it and get back to you.
Yeah, because it's like,
Yeah,
you do stuff and then come and tell us after you did it.
after, okay. I'll look into it and find out and get the information and get it back to you.
Certainly wasn't 1987, because they just recently did.
Okay.
It became the Sarah Logan Center.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. Okay,
Thank you.
you're
All
welcome.
right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
I'll pay for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
No
you.
pun
I'm
intended.
all set.
You all set, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, and before we leave, I noticed that a class came in, and I'm going to take a wild guess and say you're from Syracuse Academy? All right, Youth Advisory Council from, thank you, and thank you for being here today. Thank you. Need a motion to adjourn. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Have a good day. You too.